If you enjoy our podcast, please like and subscribe and consider becoming a digital subscriber to the Albuquerque Journal to help us bring you more content like this. You can find this episode and all of our podcasts on the Albuquerque Journal website, abqjournal.com, as well as YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify. See the show notes for a discount code on a digital subscription. Thank you for supporting the Albuquerque Journal, New Mexico's leading news.
Hello and welcome to another episode of What's Bugging You. I'm your host, Chesley Elkins, my co-host here.
Hi, I'm Brian Victor, and we are joined today with Mike Swanson again. And before we get any further, we'd like to hear a word from our sponsor.
Preventive pest control. Taking care of the pests you see and the ones you don't see. Preventive pest control. It's as simple as that.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Doing well. How are you today,
Good,
Mike?
good. Thank you for asking. I'm doing very well. Excited to be here again.
Merry Christmas, you guys.
Yeah,
Christmas.
the weather's
brightens
turned.
my day.
Weather's turned. It got a little colder. We're all in here in sweatshirts and jackets today.
Winter is upon us.
Yeah.
Which is a nice thing for pest control. Get a little bit of a breather.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
We still have some problems,
Yeah.
some issues out there, but it's definitely a slower time of year as far as
The pests are
bugs.
more targeted. Instead of dealing with everything, we're just dealing with most of the things.
Yes. Yes.
So instead of letters to Santa, we got some questions from some of our listeners that we'd like to address today.
These are letters to Chester.
Mailbag
Letters to
episode.
Santa. Hey.
I always look forward to these too.
Yes. So let's go ahead and jump right in on these. You want to take the first one there, Brian?
Sure. How do you handle pest problems with desert pests like scorpions or centipedes?
Well, I think you just handle it the kind of the same way you do for most pests, right? It's just doing a lot of spray on the outside, keep them from getting in, and then moving things away from the outside of the house where they may be harboring, get rid of stuff that's stored up against the side of the house so that you can have a good barrier that's uninterrupted to keep things from getting in. And then sometimes if they do make their way in, you got to come in and make appropriate kind of sprays around the entry points and baseboards where they may be hiding out. So they're big and scary looking, but they're not that hard to get rid of if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, one of the interesting things that we have, as far as sometimes people will ask, what's the difference between the products you guys use and something I can, buy at the store? There's a formulation called micro-capsules where the active ingredient for the stuff that we spray is actually enclosed in a polymer capsule that retains its integrity for much longer than if the active ingredient was just, dissolved basically in the water or whatever, and so that gives you an opportunity for when you do have those bigger insects like the centipedes and the scorpions to get more likely to get a lethal dose as they pick up one of those capsules and then it diffuses into their system. So I think that's a pretty cool thing if somebody's been struggling with some of the do-it-yourself with some of those big things. There's a little bit of a difference there between some of the over-the-counter versus commercial products that we have. So
Yeah, I agree. From a chemistry perspective, it's fascinating. It's encapsulated at a molecular level, not like at a droplet level.
Right.
Which is really cool. I don't know how they do that.
Yeah, I think a theme we always hear in all of our podcasts here is to bug-proof your home, right? So I don't know if it works. So I child-proof my home, and they still got in somehow.
Can't get rid of them.
Nice. Okay.
Well, my childproofing has been successful so far.
Oh, yeah.
So I saw a meme going around a while back that some place that showed something like prophylactics being sold in the pest control section of a store.
That's true. That's like on the commercial side of pest control. Whenever we go into, it's inevitable when you go into an office building and you go in and ask people, "Hey, are you seeing anything in your office?" You say, "Hey, do you have any problems?" "Oh, just this guy."
Do you have anything for help treats him?
Yeah. I've heard that 97 times at least. Yeah.
That one. Do you have anything to treat my neighbor's dog or that type of stuff?
Exactly.
The in-laws.
Yeah, the in-law.
Yep.
That's actually, we have a funny little story about in-laws. I don't know if we want to say that. Chelsea probably tells it better.
No, I think we've done some radio advertising over the year and usually try and keep it kind of lighthearted and stuff. And so since that is a joke that we get a lot and people think it's funny, we just kind of include it in one of our ads about somebody asking to get rid of the in-laws, and apparently there was a mother-in-law and a daughter-in-law riding together in a car when the radio ad came on, and apparently the daughter-in-law chuckled a little too hard.
A little too close to home.
Caused the mother-in-law to give us a phone call and give us an earful about our insensitivity.
I actually took that phone call. And
Did you?
I thought it was pretty funny. And I was like trying not to laugh. She was very upset about it. Like,
Sometimes people need to reach for the mirror instead of the phone, you know.
Yeah. Cool. You want to take the next one there, Mike?
Yeah, let's see what we got. What would be the best bug mascot for a football team? I like this question.
bug mascot. I mean, I think there probably are like scorpions out there, maybe, right? I bet you.
Yeah, we got there was the New Mexico Scorpions. Was that a hockey team?
That was hockey.
Yeah.
We had
here a while back.
there's the Gladiators.
Now there's a new hockey team, the Goat Heads. I think they just came out.
Yes,
with.
I heard about that.
Yeah,
But
that's
it's
right.
not bugs, but I mean,
Yeah, we spray for goat heads.
goat heads. So
Yeah, that's true, huh? Yeah, I would say like the sun spiders, right? Like the Sacramento sun spiders or something would be kind of a fun one.
or the sun spider. Yeah, you could say. Yeah, or I'm sorry, the black widows or something. Yeah,
Look, it
recluses.
kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you guys ever saw that clip of like Mike Leach discussing all the different mascots in the Big 12 and who would actually win in a fight, with the Sun Devils versus different things. And so
I think when you have a supernatural mascot, that kind of becomes unfair.
yeah, but I think it'd be cool to include some insects in
I
that
agree.
conversation,
agree.
and
Well,
talk about some of the powers that they have.
In that case, I think the sun spider would be dominant.
Right.
Maybe the only thing I could think that would take it would be like a tarantula hawk, maybe.
Those
I think
praying
they're-
mantises they're pretty wicked too.
That's
Like,
true.
You've seen those clips of them eating
Yeah.
like hummingbirds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think there is a team out there, the Tarantula Hawks. I don't know,
Is there?
a hockey team or something
Maybe
like that.
a farm team for baseball or something.
It'd be great.
Yeah. Or what would be the worst bug name for a mascot? Maybe like the Bernalillo bed bugs.
The
or
ladybug,
something.
the ladybugs.
The roly polies. Be a good
That
yaffle
would
team.
be, that would be actually a great yaffle team. That'd be unfortunate. Yeah. Yeah. The Edmonton ectoparasites.
The bed bugs, I guess, would be a pretty good one, I guess.
Yeah.
maybe, but-
That's funny.
Cool. All right, moving on. Do you treat for termites or offer termite inspections? Yes, we absolutely do treat for termites. I know a lot of times on this podcast and, even just phone calls we take at our office, we'll be able to give people, some advice on things that they can do on their own if they're handy or if they feel like it. Termites are one of those things that it's probably a little bit trickier to handle yourself and definitely not something I would recommend just based on the need to get so much product down around the foundation of the house and stuff like that. So that's something that we definitely do. And in fact, we have, if you see something in your house that you think might be termites, one of the things we'll do is we'll come out at no charge just to tell you if you got termites or not, just because there's a lot of people don't deal with termites all the time. They may see like a little mound of sand or something like that, or some bugs that they just don't recognize and stuff. And if you want us to come in, sometimes you can send us a picture and we can take a look at it over the phone. But if we can't tell what it is over the phone, we're happy to come out and take a look. We do offer free estimates for people that have termites as well. And if you don't have termites, but you just want to make sure that you don't have termites and get a thorough examination of the house, that's something we offer for a small fee as well. And it's some, if you haven't had your house checked out for in the last couple of years or so, it's something we always recommend just to make sure, because they do most of their stuff hidden, so they try not to be detected. And so that's our job, is to kind of look for the places where we can find them, and as much as possible, find those before they become a huge problem.
Yeah, and not just, you talk about it. Some things being a DIY and some things you really do need the specialized training. And termites are something within the pest control that's specialized even to another degree. So you can get a license as a pest control technician in the state, but then you have to have another advanced license to even do termite work. And it does take a lot of understanding and knowledge, I think justifiably, because you're dealing with structural issues and yeah, it's difficult, but yeah, we certainly take care of it.
Structural issues and high dollar real estate transactions and stuff, so you get a little more little more training and education on that. So,
and we're talking about digging or drilling, maybe even around the foundation and stuff like that. And you don't want to cause more problems than what the termites themselves would have caused.
Yeah, and not just entomology, but also like a good understanding of residential construction and so forth.
Yeah, and I mean, not to beat a dead horse, but we're using the amounts of product we're using is a lot more than you would for regular, pest control around your house, and so you got to be pretty much know what you're doing and where that product's going. So be a little more responsible with it.
Yeah, and speaking of the, it's amazing how often we get people seeing things like you talked about, like what is this pile of debris or what are these bugs or whatever. And there's so much of my day is one of the people in the office saying, "Hey, Mike, look at this picture. Hey, Mike, look at this picture. What is this? What is this?" And we get, people calling in, writing in all the time, asking for information. We're always happy to provide, guidance. And it's actually an interesting part of the job.
For sure.
The next question here is, what's the best way to deal with ants in my home? And we have a term where we use as SOS, is seek out the source. And I think that's probably the biggest thing is, one, you got to find out kind of where they're coming from, find their colonies or their harborage areas, and find out, identify what type of ant it is, and that's how you treat it. Treat the colony, treat the source, so you can take care of the problem. That's where the professional comes in, though, is knowing where to find the source, knowing what type of ant it is, and what type of treatment it's going to require. But pretty much, you find the colony, treat the colony, you're going to take care of the problem. So
and not just that, but knowing what ant you're dealing with is going to guide you on where you're going to look for them and how to treat for them. So what you would do for, say, a carpenter ant is entirely different than what you would do for a field ant, even though to the naked eye or the untrained eye they look identical.
like black ants walking around, right? Or
Yeah,
little red
exactly.
ants, So
Yep.
yeah, 100%. So how can I prevent rattlesnakes or raccoons or other wildlife from entering my yard? I mean,
That's a tricky one.
yeah.
Well, what I've noticed a lot of times, if somebody has raccoons that are doing more than just, checking out the trash can and moving on, if they're coming back again and again, a lot of times it could be they have grubs in their lawn, and the raccoons like to dig those up. And so that's it's definitely something we can do, is kind of help them get rid of the grubs in their lawn, and from there the raccoons are more likely to just kind of move on for sure.
Yeah, it's difficult to, you can't really you can put up a fence theoretically for snakes. Like a snake fence is a real thing, and it's a way to prohibit them from getting into your yard, but you can't put a fence around your entire yard. And so that's impossible. But just like you were saying, it's all about making it less desirable for them to come. So the same thing with the grubs. With snakes, you want to make sure you have as few mice as possible, because that's what's going to draw them in. Or if you have other wildlife that maybe, if you're dealing with rats or mice, make sure you don't have birdseed hanging out. Just try to make your house as uninviting as possible is the best way to keep them from coming in there in the first place.
Yeah, I've told stories before, but I grew up in Corrales, right on the Bosque, and you can't keep anything out of there. Coyotes just jump the fence. Raccoons climb over there. They're eating your dog food. They didn't even care. I'd try to shoo them off, and they'd kind of look at me like I'm an idiot.
Turtles parachuting in like Ernest goes to camp.
Turtles, and we had peacocks all the time landing in our yard too. They're probably for someone else's peacocks just flying over our place and eating our dog food or whatever they're eating. But yeah, you can't keep them out. What we ended up doing for our chickens, we'd have to bury the fence, like a foot down and like 4 feet out, so coyotes couldn't dig underneath it to get into the coops. But keep them out of the yard. And we had snakes in there too. I don't know what you can do much to keep them all out of there. So
yeah, there's not a whole lot you can do. Just keep your distance if you see them.
What, the next one there, Mike?
Well, yeah, actually, I'm going to skip down this one because this is another question that kind of jumps off that one. So, would you rather? Would you rather keep a wild raccoon as a pet inside your house for 1 year, or have 50 bats inside your house for 1 week?
I mean, there's gonna be chilling bats, just kind of just hanging out, and you're.
They're bats doing bat things.
Flying out at night.
So then they're flying out at night. They're coming back, flying out during the day. Yeah, flying out at night, coming back during the day, and all the gross stuff that comes along with them. I can tell you there is no rabies involved. We'll just get that off the table.
Isn't their feces could be a little I don't know, health concern as well, or no?
Yeah, guano can build up, and then of course there's fumes associated with it.
Yeah, I think I would take I'd probably take the 50 bats just for 1 week.
Yeah, because the raccoon they get pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I know myself a little bit better, and I've become self-aware of stuff. And like looking at my dating history, those raccoons are cute, and I can fix it.
I can fix it. Have you ever been right?
No.
But hey,
I
there's
just
time to the charm,
get some
right?
self-awareness.
He
That's all.
ends up working on himself more than than the raccoon out there.
Yeah, I mean the raccoons are adorable, man. But people people underestimate their wildness, which is interesting though, because I was just reading a story last week about how researchers are identifying like domestication traits in urban raccoons. So like they're living with people long enough so that they are starting to have physical differences in their appearance that is associated with domestication, like we see with other mammals. So it could just be a matter of time, but yeah.
Have you seen the video going around of the drunk raccoon?
Oh yeah, got into
a
the
liquor
liquor
store.
store.
Pass out in the bathroom or something?
Earlier this year I went to a concert up in Red Rocks in Denver, and went to use the bathroom. There was a raccoon just there at the trash can, just getting all kinds of leftovers and having a good old time, and kind of unbothered by the thousands of people walking by, and apparently just hangs out there.
Handing out gum and cologne, asking for a tip.
Right. So might be something to that. Might be a different question here in a few years, huh?
Yeah, I think it might be.
What's a good name for a pet raccoon then, I guess? I don't know. Rocky?
Bernard.
Bernard?
I don't know.
Rupert, like we were talking earlier?
Yeah.
If you could have a pest control superpower, what would it be, Chesley?
Well, like a cockroach live without my head for a couple of weeks. I think that'd be pretty cool.
You get flushed down the
Stress
toilet,
relief.
pop up fine.
have a break from all the things inside my head.
Yeah, I like that.
I don't know, a flying insect would be kind of cool, be able to fly, you know?
Yeah, I think that would be cool. Like a dragonfly, especially. Like have some acrobatics, or maybe have like ultraviolet or infrared vision. You know, have a larger spectrum of light. That might be kind of cool.
I guess there's already an Ant-Man, right? What he can fly and he has super strength, right? Maybe?
Well, his power is not really being an ant.
Just
It's
being
just
small.
growing, growing or
small,
getting
yeah.
larger. So that's not really an ant thing.
He's not strong. I haven't ever seen the show. I don't know. But
I don't understand how it works. I think it's proportionate to his. It doesn't really make any sense. It's Marvel.
it's a true story based on actual events, Mike. Come on.
So I don't know. When I was a kid, I remember reading, and it was actually in an encyclopedia talking about, different bugs. Like I remember specifically about the ants and grasshoppers, and then telling you, if the ant were your size, it would be able to lift this many tons, basically this many times its
Right.
body weight, which I think I understand now that, physics doesn't really work that
Yeah,
way,
yeah.
But, definitely, the strength to lift several times your body weight, or as a grasshopper to leap, like, I don't know, 20, 30 times your length, in one hop and stuff. Those would be pretty cool
Or
things.
even speed, right? Like some of these ants or insects you see trucking across the ground, it doesn't look like they're going fast, but if they were, 6 feet long, they'd be going faster than a cheetah.
Yeah, if the physics didn't apply.
Exactly. But in reality, if they were that big, they would just be crushed by their own body weight.
Exactly, yeah.
It'd be the roly-polies.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, do you treat for bed bugs, and how do you handle an infestation? So bed bugs are, I would say, yes, we do treat for bed bugs for sure. That's one of the things that we do. As far as handling an infestation, it's always kind of good to have some sort of idea where the infestation came from, and so that it doesn't keep reoccurring. The bed bugs don't just they don't come from outside and come into your house. They have to be brought in as hitchhikers from somewhere else and kind of find a place where they're able to get a blood meal and reproduce and stuff like that. So it could be, people pick them up traveling. It could be from a hotel or something. It could be from guests they had in their house.
Used furniture.
Used furniture, yeah. When you see a free mattress by the side of the road, you may want to think twice before picking that up and
Free
taking
is
it home.
a relative term.
Exactly.
Everything costs something.
And so I think that's probably the first part of handling an infestation, is kind of trying to at least get some sort of idea how it got there, especially if you get rid of them once and they end up coming back again. Then it's like you've got to figure out. Sometimes we've talked to people, and after a while, they have maybe a recurring guest that
Right.
comes back and stuff, and they might be bringing them. They could be bringing them from a work environment in their purse or backpack or something like that. Those are important things to understand.
Yep. And that outside treatments don't do anything. So people worry, like, I don't have to worry about bed bugs because I have a pest control company. But the treatments you would do for a general pest control service to sort of be proactive for things like spiders and ants and cockroaches will have zero effect on bed bugs.
Right.
And to the effect that bed bugs are, the thing we really have to worry about is their increasing resistance to traditional insecticides. And so you can go to the hardware store and see a bottle of insecticide that has a picture of a bed bug on it, and you're like, oh, good, problem solved, to go home and spray it. Maybe I'll read the label, maybe I won't. And not only will it not be effective, but it will also, in some way, potentially lead to an increase in the resistance of that species. So it really is a tricky thing, and it's not prohibitively expensive to get rid of a bed bug infestation. You may end up just putting yourself at risk health-wise by misusing pesticides, and also spending money that's not going to do any good, where you could just call a professional and have them take care of it for less money than you probably think, and just have it be done with. And people, they take drastic measures like, oh, we have a bed bug, we're going to throw away this $1,000 mattress, or, take drastic measures which are really not necessary. So I would say call a professional. That's not really something you can do on your own.
And I know our current protocol that for us for doing bed bugs, we have the product that is a fungus-based product, which I don't believe that we use that for any other insects. Is that something you could explain a little bit better, how that fungus works with the bed bugs?
So the active ingredient is actually fungal spores that are kind of suspended in a liquid, and it's sprayed with a compressed air sprayer, similar to how you would a traditional insecticide, but it's specifically targeted for bed bugs. So, and it's labeled for them specifically. So it's not harmful to people. It's a fungus that's relatively common in nature. It's been used in agriculture for decades, and within the last decade or so, it's been allowed to be used inside homes. But the hazard for people and pets is super low, and it is wonderful because it's a biological agent. The bed bugs don't have the ability to build a resistance to it because it's another biological entity that's attacking them, not a chemical that they can maybe build up a resistance to. And it's super effective, and it lasts for months once applied, as long as it doesn't get scrubbed off, and it doesn't present a hazard to the people living in there. It's a really impressive product. It's pricey, but it's really impressive.
Yeah, I started in pest control 2001, and within a few years, bed bugs were really on the rise, and it's something that prior to being in pest control, like we had this like decades of relief, basically, at least in North America, from bed bugs, where through the use of DDT and various things, they had almost completely been eliminated. And then, through more worldwide travel and different things, they ended up, and you talked about the resistance to pesticides, they ended up being reintroduced. I remember thinking, are bed bugs even a real thing at one time? But that's definitely changed the last couple of decades.
I had no idea what they looked like until I started pest control.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
And most of our customers don't either. They'll send us pictures of anything you see on their bed. Is it a bed bug? And no, that's a spider. Or no, that's it's a.
Yeah, usually the biggest culprit is the larva of the dermestid beetle, carpet beetle, which is super common, and people always think that's a bed bug.
Yeah. We could wrap it up with the last question on here is, and I think we probably have a lot come to mind with this, is ever had a bug that just refused to go down without a fight? I mean, there has been almost all bugs do. They put up a good fight. And I've had houses. I've had ants. They had radiant heat, fluorine in the heat, or fluorine, or I can't even, in the floor, and they're nesting underneath that, and we can't drill below it, nothing, and they just. We got rid of them eventually, but it took a good year of treatment getting rid of them. And I could think of, I know. Like one of our service managers, he's been having an ongoing battle at a house with
Clover mites.
Clover mites,
Yeah.
Right.
And I've never had that problem before, because you spray them pretty thorough and get rid of them, and they've tried this house and they can't get rid of them.
Yeah, there's always that one house where they just.
Yeah, I think it's interesting when you talk about going down without a fight, especially like doing this job, I came to have like a profound respect for something like ants, like a social insect. If you think about the single ant, yeah, you can kill a single ant, no problem. You can either spray it, step on it, easy to kill that single ant. But as far as the colony and the way they work together and the way they react to, that sort of stress when they realize that members of their colony are dying, they'll up their reproduction, they'll change their behaviors, and they will become very difficult as thinking in terms of a colony versus individual ants to get rid of.
Yeah, exactly. It's helpful when you're thinking in a pest control sense. You don't think of the ant, the individual ant, as the pest. It is the colony. That's the organism. It's in a manner of speaking.
Like pluribus.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good show.
Exactly. Ant comes up to you. How are you, Carol?
Well, funny you say, I've just, you saying that, bees have done the same thing too. Like I remember going to houses where it's been a bee problem for who knows how long, and we're able to take care of it finally. And you kind of have to rip the walls out to see it, and it's interesting. You could see between all the studs, like where the neighbor or the homeowner might have poked a hole and sprayed something in, so it's like all rotted and dead. But you can see they sealed it off, and they just built next to it, built next to it. You can see decades or whatever it is, many years of this beehive just surviving. People trying just spraying whatever into it, and they just have a completely healthy hive. Just an inch over it because they seal that part off, and there's dead bees there, but they have completely functioning one here. And
it's interesting. We never have to put the heater on in this room.
And it's always buzzing.
Yeah, the literal sense of that question, the one that I think of is large desert centipedes. Like I've had some where I've seen them running and tried to stomp them, and they just kind of look at you and like, hey, I'm walking here, and they just keep on going. You're like, hey, stop. They're surprisingly resilient.
For sure.
And then, of course, German roaches, too. Just like the ants, they can be insidious. Generally, you can get rid of them in a few treatments, but sometimes we have some accounts where they're just ongoing. I don't know if it's reintroduction, like with the bed bugs or what, but yeah, they can be very difficult to finally just get that. You get like 90% of them, and you're just battling with that 10% over and over and over again.
Yeah, I think probably some commercial restaurants because they struggle with German cockroaches, and they keep reintroducing them with the new stuff they bring in, and sometimes it's just a very long ongoing battle. Sometimes,
yeah, and with the restaurant even more so with the home, there are just so many potential avenues for reintroduction. Employees coming in and out, suppliers coming in and out, vendors, bringing in all the different, all the things that make a restaurant hum. There's just the probability of that happening is higher.
Yeah, and a lot of the problems, like I said earlier, seek out the source. A lot of these problems will be ongoing and ongoing until you kind of treat the source. We've had people have drain flies or small flies for years, and they can't get rid of them. They treat them and spray them. They can't get rid of them until you crack open their slab and see there's a broken pipe, sewage pipe down there, and that's where they're coming from. They're never going to get rid of them. They're going to keep coming until you get the actual source of the problem, right? So, Chesley, do you want anything for Christmas?
Raccoon, maybe?
Raccoon.
A raccoon for my very own. I'm gonna love him and call him George.
Yeah. Got a lump of coal.
You know what I want is my Roku's dying. I need a streaming thing, get an Apple TV. I'm looking forward to that.
I don't know what I just want a Chevy square body truck that I just lost out on just missed it.
Nice.
Well, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, guys.
Thank you for your questions. Feel free to shoot us an email, submit some more questions. We love answering those. It's fun to share our knowledge and geek out a little bit over these things. And we'll see you next time on What's Bugging You.